The mysterious map. Max loved adventure and exploring new places. One afternoon, while rummaging through the attic of his old house, he stumbled upon a dusty chest. Inside, he found a rolled-up map covered in strange symbols and an old drawing of a large tree. The map seemed very old and mysterious. Eager to solve the mystery, Max decided to follow the map. The first symbol led him to the city park, where a statue of a knight holding a golden sword stood. According to the map, the next clue was hidden near this statue. He carefully examined the base of the statue and discovered a hidden compartment. Inside, there was a golden key and a note that read, "To find the next clue, go to the tallest building in the city." Max hurried to the tallest building, a skyscraper with an observation deck high above the city. Using the golden key, he unlocked a small box he found in a corner of the deck. Inside the box was a piece of parchment with a riddle. "I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I?" Max thought about the riddle and realized the answer was fire. The parchment then led him to the old fire station at the edge of town. At the fire station, Max discovered an old firefighter's helmet with a secret compartment. Inside, he found a leather-bound book titled The Hidden Treasure of Brightsville. The book told a story about a treasure buried in the city, meant for someone brave and clever to find. Max was thrilled to learn that the treasure was hidden in his own backyard. That evening, Max and his family dug up the backyard and uncovered a small chest filled with old coins, jewelry, and letters from the past. Max's adventure not only revealed a hidden treasure, but also brought him closer to the history of his city and his family. Life lesson. Max's journey teaches us that curiosity and persistence can lead to great discoveries. English lesson. Pay attention to how the story uses simple sentences to describe actions. For example, Max loved adventure, and he carefully examined the base of the statue. Use straightforward language to clearly convey what is happening. Simple sentences can make a story easier to understand.
The silent passenger. Sarah Thompson was an ordinary commuter, taking the last train home after a long day at work. The city was quiet, with most people already tucked away in their homes. The train car she boarded was nearly empty, except for a few late-night travelers scattered across the seats. She settled into her usual spot by the window, grateful for the solitude. The train rumbled to life, its wheels clattering rhythmically against the tracks. Sarah leaned back, closing her eyes, letting the gentle sway of the train lull her into a light doze. But something felt off. She opened her eyes and glanced around the car. A man, dressed in a dark coat with a hood pulled low over his face, had boarded at the last stop. He sat at the far end of the car, staring straight ahead. There was nothing particularly unusual about him, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease that crept up her spine. The train sped through the night, the lights flickering intermittently. Sarah tried to dismiss the man from her thoughts, focusing instead on the passing scenery outside. But every time she glanced back, he was there, sitting motionless, his face hidden in the shadows. As the train approached the next station, Sarah hoped the man would get off, but as the doors opened and closed, he remained in his seat, unmoving. The other passengers trickled out one by one until only Sarah and the silent passenger were left. Sarah's heart began to race. She had never felt this kind of fear before, irrational, but growing stronger with every passing moment. She considered changing cars, But the thought of moving closer to the man paralyzed her. Instead, she pulled out her phone and texted a friend, hoping for some distraction. The train slowed as it approached a tunnel, the lights flickering more frequently. The air grew colder, and Sarah's anxiety spiked. She glanced at the man again, only to find that he had turned his head ever so slightly, as if watching her from the corner of his eye. Her breath caught in her throat. The train plunged into the darkness of the tunnel, and the lights went out completely, leaving the car in total blackness. The only sound was the steady thump of her heart pounding in her ears. The lights flickered back on for a split second, and Sarah's blood ran cold. The man was no longer in his seat. Panic surged through her as she frantically scanned the car, but the man had vanished. The train emerged from the tunnel, and the lights stabilized, revealing the empty car. Sarah jumped to her feet, her instincts screaming at her to move, to get away. She rushed to the doors just as the train slowed for the next station. As the doors opened, she bolted out onto the platform, gasping for breath. She looked back at the train, expecting to see the man again, but the car was still empty. Shaking, Sarah hurried out of the station and into the safety of the bustling street. She tried to convince herself it was all in her head, that the man was just another passenger who had gotten off unnoticed. But the feeling of being watched lingered, a shadow in the back of her mind. As she walked home, she couldn't shake the sensation that someone was following her. She glanced over her shoulder, but the street was empty. The silent passenger was gone, but the fear remained, haunting her every step. Life lesson: trust your instincts. If something or someone makes you feel uneasy, it's important to listen to that feeling and take action to ensure your safety. Our intuition often picks up on things that our rational mind might miss. English lesson: phrasal verbs focus, shake off, to get rid of something, especially a feeling or thought. Bolt out, to run quickly out of a place. Glance over, to look quickly or briefly at something.
The lost phone. One day, Emma, a high school student, was rushing to school. She had just bought a brand new smartphone, and it was her most prized possession. As she hurried down the street, she stopped at a coffee shop to grab a quick breakfast. While waiting for her order, Emma placed her phone on the counter. Distracted by a chat with her friend, she forgot to pick it up and left the shop. It wasn't until she got to school that she realized her phone was missing. Panic set in as she retraced her steps, but the phone was nowhere to be found. Back at the coffee shop, Max, the barista, noticed the phone sitting on the counter. He knew it must belong to someone and decided to take action. Max placed a note on the phone with his contact information and posted a message on the shop's social media page, hoping to find the owner. Emma saw the post during lunch break and was relieved to find out that her phone had been found. She quickly contacted Max and arranged to pick up her phone from the coffee shop. When she arrived, she thanked Max profusely for his honesty and kindness. Life lesson: honesty and kindness can lead to new friendships and positive outcomes. English lesson: vocabulary, prized possession, distracted, retraced, panic, action, contact, gratitude, gesture. Grammar: use of past perfect tense. For example, Emma had just bought a smartphone. She had realized her phone was missing.
The lighthouse keeper's promise. In a quaint coastal village, there stood an old lighthouse that had guided ships safely to shore for generations. The lighthouse keeper, an earnest young man named Ethan, took great pride in his work. Every evening, as he lit the beacon, he would look out to the sea, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beautiful woman he had once met on a stormy night. Her name was Amelia, a spirited traveler who had sought refuge in the lighthouse during a fierce storm. Ethan had taken her in, offering her warmth and safety. They spent the night talking, sharing stories of their lives and dreams. By morning, a deep connection had formed between them, but as quickly as she had arrived, Amelia had to leave, promising to return someday. Years passed, and Ethan never forgot Amelia. He faithfully tended to the lighthouse, holding on to the hope that she would come back. One golden sunset, as he was about to light the beacon, he noticed a familiar figure walking along the shore. His heart raced as he realized it was Amelia. They embraced, their eyes filled with the joy of reunion. Amelia explained that she had traveled the world, but her heart had always belonged to the lighthouse and the man who had shown her kindness. Ethan's patience and faith were rewarded as they stood together, watching the sun dip below the horizon, knowing they would never be apart again. Life lesson: true love endures time and distance, and patience can lead to the fulfillment of heartfelt promises. English lesson: vocabulary, quaint, coastal, earnest, refuge, beacon, connection, reunion, horizon. Idioms: catch a glimpse, deep connection, held on to hope, heart raced.
The magic paintbrush. In a small village at the edge of a vast forest, lived a young artist named Mia. She loved painting more than anything and spent her days creating beautiful landscapes and portraits. One day, while exploring the forest for inspiration, Mia stumbled upon a hidden cave. Inside the cave, she found an old, ornate paintbrush lying on a stone pedestal. Intrigued, Mia picked it up and felt a strange energy coursing through her hand. She decided to take the paintbrush back to her studio. When Mia used the paintbrush for the first time, something magical happened. The flowers she painted began to bloom, and the birds she drew took flight. Everything she painted with the enchanted brush came to life. Mia quickly realized the incredible potential of her new tool. She painted a lush garden in her backyard, complete with colorful flowers and singing birds. The villagers were amazed and came from all around to see her miraculous creations. One day, a drought struck the village, and the crops began to wither. Remembering the power of her paintbrush, Mia painted a rainstorm over the fields. To everyone's astonishment, dark clouds gathered and rain poured down, saving the crops. The villagers celebrated Mia's gift, and she continued to use the enchanted paintbrush to bring joy and prosperity to her community. She painted a playground for the children, a forest of fruit trees, and even a beautiful lake for everyone to enjoy. Mia's art not only beautified the village but also strengthened the bond among the villagers, reminding them of the magic that exists in creativity and kindness. Life lesson: creativity and kindness can bring magic and positivity into our lives and communities. English lesson: vocabulary, ornate, pedestal, enchanted, potential, miraculous, astonishment, prosperity, creativity. Grammar: use of present perfect tense. For example, Mia has painted a lush garden. The villagers have celebrated Mia's gift. The unexpected reunion. It had been 20 years since Mark had left his hometown, determined to escape the shadows of his past. Life in the city had given him everything he thought he wanted: success, money, and a sense of anonymity. Yet, it was the unexpected death of his estranged mother that brought him back, a place he had vowed never to return. As Mark walked through the small, dusty town, memories flooded back. The narrow streets, once his entire world, seemed smaller now, worn by time. He reached the old house, the paint peeling, the garden overgrown. It was exactly as he had left it, yet it felt like a stranger's home. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of memories long buried. Sorting through his mother's belongings, he found a box labeled Mark's letters. Curiosity tugged at him, and he opened it, finding letters he had never seen, letters addressed to him, but never sent. They were from his father, a man who had left when Mark was just a boy. His hands trembled as he read the first one. His father had written about regret, about wanting to reconnect but not knowing how. Each letter was filled with apologies, stories of his own struggles, and a deep longing to make things right. The last letter, dated just a year before his father's death, was a plea for forgiveness. Mark sat in the quiet of the old house, the weight of the years pressing down on him. The anger he had harbored for so long began to dissolve, replaced by a deep sadness. The father he had hated was a man who had been lost, just as he had been. As the sun set, Mark knew he had a choice. He could leave the past behind, as he always had, or he could finally face it, forgive it, and find peace. For the first time in years, he felt the stirrings of something new, a sense of closure, and perhaps, the beginning of healing. Life lesson. Sometimes, the past holds the key to our healing. Facing old wounds and seeking forgiveness, even when it's difficult, can bring closure and peace. It's never too late to make amends or to understand those we've lost. The Enchanted Garden. In the quiet town of Willowbrook, there was a small, overgrown garden that everyone avoided. Rumor had it that the garden was enchanted, filled with magical plants and hidden treasures. One sunny afternoon, a curious girl named Lily decided to explore the garden. As Lily stepped inside, she noticed vibrant flowers and towering plants she had never seen before. In the center of the garden, she found a peculiar, glowing flower. She reached out to touch it, and suddenly, the garden transformed. The plants started moving, and tiny, glowing fairies appeared, dancing around her. One of the fairies, named Spark, flew up to Lily and said, "Welcome to the Enchanted Garden. You have a pure heart, and we need your help to protect our home." Spark explained that the garden's magic was fading, and only someone with a kind and curious spirit could restore it. Lily agreed to help and followed Spark to a hidden fountain. She dipped her hands into the sparkling water and felt a warm, magical energy flow through her. The garden flourished, with colors becoming more vibrant and the plants growing stronger. The fairies cheered, and Spark gave Lily a small, glowing seed as a token of their gratitude. Lily planted the seed in her own garden, and it grew into a beautiful flower that reminded her of her magical adventure. Life lesson. Kindness and curiosity can lead to extraordinary experiences and help others. English lesson. Vocabulary. Enchanted, vibrant, peculiar, transformed, fairies, gratitude. Grammar. Use of past tense verbs. Noticed, found, reached, transformed, explained.
The hidden message. In the bustling city of Rivertown, there was a famous old library filled with ancient books and hidden secrets. Among the shelves worked Emma, a young and curious librarian. One day, while sorting through a pile of dusty books, she stumbled upon a peculiar, leather-bound journal. Its pages were filled with strange symbols and cryptic messages. Intrigued, Emma decided to decode the mysterious writings. She spent days researching, studying the symbols, and piecing together the puzzle. One night, she discovered that the journal contained a hidden message leading to a secret room within the library. Following the clues, Emma found a hidden door behind a bookshelf. Her heart raced as she opened it, revealing a small, forgotten room filled with ancient artifacts and a chest. Inside the chest, she found old maps, valuable coins, and a letter from a long-lost explorer who had hidden his treasures to protect them. Emma's discovery made headlines, turning the library into a popular destination for treasure hunters and history enthusiasts. She became a local hero, known for her curiosity and determination. Life lesson: curiosity and perseverance can lead to amazing discoveries. English lesson: vocabulary: bustling, peculiar, cryptic, decode, clues, artifacts, explorer, grammar, simple past tense, worked, stumbled, spent, found, opened.
The last signal. In the year 2157, Earth was a memory. Humanity had fled its dying planet a century ago, scattering across the stars in search of new homes. Among the many ships that left Earth, the Nova Ark was one of the last. It carried 1,000 passengers, each in cryosleep, destined for a distant planet known only as Terra 2. Captain Elena Vargas was the only one awake on the ship, her task to oversee the journey and ensure the safety of the crew. She had trained for this mission her entire life, prepared to spend the 50 years alone while her crew slept. The ship's AI, Iris, was her only companion. Years passed in the vast emptiness of space. Elena's routine was precise monitoring systems, making small course adjustments, and engaging in conversations with Iris to keep her mind sharp. Everything was on track until one day, something unexpected happened. A faint signal appeared on the ship's radar. It was old, almost too weak to detect, but unmistakably artificial. Elena's heart raced. Could it be from another ship, or perhaps from Earth? She immediately began analyzing the signal, trying to decipher its origin. Iris confirmed that the signal was coming from a nearby star system, one that was not on their charted course. It was a risk to divert the ship, but Elena's curiosity and a sense of duty drove her to investigate. What if someone needed help? What if it was a remnant of the lost Earth? As the Nova Ark approached the star system, the signal grew stronger. It was a repeating pattern, a distress call from a long-forgotten era. When they finally reached the source, Elena was astonished. It was an old Earth satellite, a relic from the early days of space exploration, still broadcasting its last message. The satellite was battered and corroded, its solar panels long dead, but the signal continued. Elena instructed Iris to capture the data. The message was simple. To those who find this, we were here. We searched the stars, hoping for a future. Elena felt a deep connection to those words. They were a reminder of humanity's resilience, of the countless souls who had ventured into the unknown, searching for a new beginning. She knew she had to preserve this piece of history. Before leaving, Elena attached a small data beacon to the satellite, ensuring that its message would continue to broadcast for centuries to come. It was her way of honoring the past while moving forward. As the Nova Ark resumed its course to Terra 2, Elena looked out into the vastness of space, filled with a renewed sense of purpose. They were the continuation of a journey that had begun long before her time, a journey that would carry on as long as there were stars to reach. Life lesson. In the vast journey of life, it's important to remember our roots and honor the past, even as we look forward to the future. The efforts of those who came before us shape our present, and by acknowledging their struggles and achievements, we carry their legacy forward, ensuring that their stories are never forgotten. English lesson: cryosleep, a state of suspended animation where the body is kept at very low temperatures to slow down bodily functions, often used in science fiction for long space journeys. Artificial, something made by humans, not natural, often referring to man-made objects or technology. Divert, to change the direction or course of something. Beacon, a signal or light used to guide or warn, often used in navigation.
The secret message. In the heart of 18th century France, the winds of revolution were stirring. Marie, a young woman from a modest family, found herself caught in the rising tide of change. She worked as a seamstress in the grand estate of a noble family, stitching elegant gowns for the wealthy, but her heart was with the people struggling in the streets. Marie's brother, Jacques, was deeply involved in the revolutionary movement. He would often visit her under the cover of night, sharing news of the rebellion and the plans of the revolutionaries. Marie, though fearful for his safety, admired his courage and determination to fight for a better future. One evening, Jacques arrived at her door with a grave expression. "Marie, I need your help," he said quietly, handing her a small piece of parchment. On it was a cryptic message written in a code she had never seen before. "This message must reach our comrades in Paris by dawn, but it's too dangerous for me to go. The guards are everywhere." Marie knew the risks. If she was caught, it would mean imprisonment or worse, but she also knew that the message could be crucial to the revolution. Without hesitation, she agreed to deliver it. Disguised as a servant, Marie set out on the treacherous journey to Paris. The roads were filled with patrols, and every shadow seemed to hide a potential threat. She kept the message hidden in the hem of her dress, praying that no one would search her. As she neared the city, Marie encountered a group of soldiers at a checkpoint. Her heart pounded as they questioned her. She remained calm, playing the part of a simple country girl traveling to visit family. After what felt like an eternity, they let her pass. In Paris, she navigated the winding streets until she reached a small, unassuming shop. The shopkeeper, an older man with kind eyes, was one of the revolution's key contacts. Marie handed him the message, her hands trembling with relief. The shopkeeper quickly decoded the message, his face growing serious as he read. "This information will save many lives, Marie," he said, looking at her with deep gratitude. "You've done a great service for the cause." Marie returned home under the cover of night, her heart still racing from the danger she had faced. She knew that her role in the revolution was small, but it was significant. The message she had delivered helped the revolutionaries avoid a deadly ambush, and it became a turning point in the struggle for freedom. Though history would remember the leaders and the battles, Marie knew that it was the small acts of bravery, like her journey to Paris, that truly shaped the course of events. She had played her part in the revolution, and that was enough. Life lesson: even small acts of bravery can make a significant impact. In times of great challenge, every contribution matters, no matter how small it may seem. Courage isn't just about grand gestures. It's also about the quiet decisions to do what's right, even when it's dangerous. English lesson: past simple tense, used to describe actions that were completed in the past. Example sentences: Marie worked as a seamstress in the grand estate. She agreed to deliver the message. The shopkeeper decoded the message quickly. Marie returned home under the cover of night.